Today we're going to be talking about parallel lines, transversals, and algebra. So we're going to have two parallel lines with a transversal cutting them, and we're going to utilize our angle relationships to solve some algebraic problems that we set up and find the missing variables. So I'm going to go over 3 examples with you, and then you guys will complete this page for the remainder of class. So number 1, I have L is parallel to M, so I know these two lines here are parallel. And so this is my transversal cutting through. So I need to figure out what the relationship of this angle here that's 58 degrees is, and then this angle here that's 5x minus 2, so that I can create an equation. And so these are both going to be on the right side of my transversal. So same side of the transversal, and they're going to be in the same position from the top angles to the bottom angles. So they're in that top right position. So these are going to be corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are going to be congruent when they lie on the parallel lines. So if two angles are congruent, we're going to set them equal. So I'm going to have 5x minus 2 equals 58. Then we're just solving for the missing variable, so we're solving for x. So I'm going to add 2 here. Oops, those cancel, add 2. So I have 5x equals 60. Lastly, I'm dividing by 5. Those cancel, divide by 5. 60 divided by 5 is going to give me an answer of x equals 12. And that'll be my final answer because I'm solving for the variable. Then I'm going to move ahead to number 2. So number 2, again, L is parallel to M, and then this is my transversal right here. Oh, sorry, that was a really bad line. So we need to figure out the relationship between 16x plus 22 and this angle here that's 134. So these are going to be on opposite sides of my transversal, and they are going to be exterior because they're outside those two parallel lines. Opposite sides, non-adjacent exterior, are going to be alternate exterior angles. And we know alternate exterior angles are going to be congruent when they lie on parallel lines. So if these two are going to be congruent, I'm going to set them equal. So 16x plus 22 equals 134. So then I'm going to take and subtract 22 from both sides. That's going to cancel. Do the same thing on the right. So I'm left with 16x equals 112. Then I'm dividing by 16. Those cancel. Dividing by 16. So 112 divided by 16 is going to give me an answer of x equals 7. And that is my final answer because I'm just solving for the variable. So you're determining the angle relationship, setting up an algebraic equation, solving for your variable. Now I'm going to jump ahead to number 9 because number 9 has 2 variables. So I wanted to show you an example that has 2 variables. So in this picture here for number 9, again we have L is parallel to M. And then we have our transversal cutting through right here. And so we have one angle that's 8x minus 31, one that's 5y plus 35, and one that's 6x plus 3. So to start this problem, I want to figure out the angle relationship between the two angles that have the same variable. So I'm going to look at 8x minus 31 and 6x plus 3 and figure out the two angles relationship there. So these are both on opposites or alternate sides of my transversal. They are interior because they are inside my two parallel lines and they are non-adjacent. So these are going to be alternate interior angles. And yesterday we learned that alternate interior angles are going to be congruent. They lie in parallel lines. So if these two angles measures are congruent, I'm going to set these equal. So 8x minus 31 equals 6x plus 3. Now I'm just solving this algebraically for my unknown variable x. So I need to isolate that x on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 6x here to get all my x's on the same side. Those cancel. Subtract 6x. So I have 2x minus 31 equals positive 3. I'm going to add 31 here. Those cancel. Add 31. So 2x equals 3 plus 31, or 34. Then I'm going to take 34, divide that by 2, because divide by 2 there, those cancel. Divide this by 2. 34 divided by 2 is going to give me the answer x equals 17. So now I've solved for my first variable. Now I need to go and solve for y. So I have 5y plus 35 is this angle here. So I need to figure out an angle relationship with either 8x minus 31 or 6x plus 3. So the 8x plus 31 and the 5y plus 35 are going to lie on the same line here. So we know those are going to be a linear pair. And linear pairs are going to add up to 180 degrees. So we know these two angles here are going to add up to 180 degrees. But before we set up that equation, rather than putting in 8x minus 31, we can simplify this because we know now what x is, so we can substitute x into that to figure out the actual angle measure. So we're going to do 8 times 17 minus 31. So 8 times 17 is going to give us 136 minus 31, which is then going to leave us with 105. So this angle here is actually 105 degrees. So that angle, 105 degrees, plus 5y plus 35 needs to equal 180 degrees. Now we have an algebraic equation that we need to solve because we have one unknown variable. So we're solving for y, we need to isolate that. So first things first, I'm going to combine like terms on the left side of my equal sign. So I have 105 and 35 that I can combine. 5y is going to stay the same, 5y. And then 105 plus 35 gives me plus 140, and that equals 180. Now I'm going to subtract 140 here. Those cancel. Subtract 140. I'm left with 5y equals 180 minus 140 gives me 40. Last step, we divide by 5. Those cancel. 40 divided by 5 is going to leave me with y equals 8. So then I found my other variable. Remember, this is for this problem here, not number 10. So x equals 17, y equals 8 is going to be my final answer for number 9 because we have those two unknown variables. So 10 is going to be very similar. Again, we have a y and an x, so we need to figure out what the relationship between the two angles with x in them are first, and then you'll move on to figure out what y is. So you're going to finish this paper, or this worksheet, I'm sorry, for today's class, and when you're finished, submit a picture to Google Classroom and make sure you check in on Google Meets before the end of class. Please reach out to me if you have any questions.